Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kristen, also known as DoSo Knits, here on YouTube, Instagram, and Ravelry. DoSo Knits is my YouTube channel where I like to share with you guys how yarn and knitting has interwoven into my life. And today's video is all about my August makes and the yarn that I have brought into my stash. I like to do these little videos every month to kind of chronicle the projects that I'm finishing along with the yarns that I am bringing into my stash. I like to keep a little notebook in there every month. I keep what objects I finish in addition to the yarns that I bring in, and that way I can kind of just see how my stash is growing and changing over time. If I'm bringing in more yarn than I am using up, which, let's be fair, is typically how it goes. But it's just nice to be able to keep a little running count, and then I keep all my projects in here with some notes in addition to what I keep on my Ravelry pages. With all that being said, these videos are kind of essentially yarn haul videos because I show all the yarn that I bring in as the main focus. So if that is not something you're interested in, then I'd love for you to come back and watch another video. However, if you're here to see all the yarny goodness, go ahead and strap in because I have some lovely goodies to show you today. Looking over the projects that I finished for August, I actually did very well, I think. I was able to get a lot of yarn and projects out of my stash, out of the work in progress phase, and able to, just get those things used up and moved out, which was really nice because I brought in some as well. But let's go over what I finished this month. First project I finished this month, I finished Shane's Musselburgh hat. So I used 2 skeins of KnitPicks palette in the color black for this. And that ended up being a really long-term work in progress. So I'm really glad that I was able to finally finish that up and get it off of my needles. The next thing I finished is kind of a big project. I was able to finish my Vertices Unite. So that project uses 5 skeins of fingering weight yarn. I had bought those yarns originally to use in my Slipstravaganza, which was the Mystery Knit Along last fall. However, after all the sections came out and I saw the full shawl, I wasn't completely in love with it, and since I spent a good chunk of change on that yarn, I wanted to use it in a project that I was going to love and wear a bit more, and the Vertices Unite is amazing. I'm so in love with this project, using all of the yarns in that. Definitely, it was the right choice. I'm glad I made it. It used 4 skeins of the Urban Pearl fingering weight yarn, which is a BFL yarn, and then it used 1 skein of Teton Yarn Company in her Mountain Sock base, which is a superwash merino base. Overall, I'm really in love with that project, and I'm glad I was able to use 5 skeins on such a big project that I think looks absolutely amazing. The next couple of projects are all some sock projects that I was able to finish this month. So I was able to finish my Desert Vista Dyeworks August socks. So I used 1 skein of Desert Vista Dyeworks Viso in the colorway Temple Bar for those. Second project I finished were my Dreaming of Paris socks, which used a Share a Pair set from Mandy's Makings. The colors were Color Smash and Riesling, and since that came as 250-gram skeins, I counted that as 2 skeins out of my stash for the month, which is quite exciting. I was also able to finish my Spruces socks, which is a pattern by Hooded Canyon. I used my Advent colorway from my Homespun House Advent calendar from 2020. It's a nice Stellina pinky colored yarn, and I'll talk more about that on my podcast episode when I share off the finished socks. And then I was also able to finish my Sprinkler Days socks, which is a pair of shorty socks, where I used a mini skein from my Advent calendar from Chestnuts and a skein of Plump Merino from a Homespun House in the colorway Half Blood Prince. Earlier this month, I also did a giveaway for this channel, and in there I put in 2 skeins of yarn from my stash, so I counted that as well into my finished total of skeins out for the month. So overall, for the month of August, I was able to get about 14 skeins of stash out, which is probably one of my highest months for the year. I'm pretty excited. The Vertices Unite definitely helped get a good chunk of that out, and then doing a giveaway and then the Share a Pair using 2 skeins as well also helped. But I do feel like I just got a lot of projects done, and August just felt like a really productive month. And part of that might be my finish along, which I am hosting on Ravelry and Instagram, and you guys have been coming out and finishing a bunch of projects. And so I think that has been a good motivator for me. In addition to our big move coming up, I want to get a lot of these projects off the needles, and then that way my move will be a little bit easier. So now that we have talked about all of the projects that I finished in August and the yarns that I was able to get out of my stash, we can talk about all the pretties that I have brought into my stash. And I have a lot of pretty things to show you. I'm excited. It's not the biggest haul of the year, but it is a good amount of yarn, and I'm pretty excited about all of these. So the first skein that I brought in this month is a prize yarn from Vista Dyeworks. This is the colorway Zelda 1993. Every month, Vista Dyeworks on her Ravelry group has a color competition. She gives a theme for the yarns, and then people can submit inspiration photos for her to dye yarn colors from. So the theme for August was video games, and I submitted a photo from the game Zelda the Wind Waker, which was a nice stained glass art piece, and she dyed this skein of yarn based on that color or that photo that I submitted, and I'm pretty excited about it. It's one of my favorite games that I've played. I've never beat it. It's one of my favorite games to have watched Shane play, and so these will definitely probably be socks for him because Zelda is one of his favorite video games. So I'm very excited that I won because I've submitted photos into that color competition every month and never won, and I did, which is kind of exciting. So the next skeins that I brought in, I bought while we were in Ireland this previous month. Ireland did have a lot of yarn stores that I visited, and definitely I came back with a little more than what I intended to, but it's okay. Because have you ever walked into a yarn store and just seen some yarn like across the room, and you just see it, and then you're like, that's coming home with me. I don't know what for exactly, but it's coming home with me. So maybe I'm the only one that's ever happened to, but this next yarn, that's what happened. We walked into this little yarn store in Dublin called The Constant Knitter. She's a little bit of a smaller store. She's actually going to be closing in the near future because of COVID, which is really sad because I really enjoyed chatting with the yarn store owner. But she was having a sale on all of her yarn for like 15% off. I saw this yarn as I walked in. It was just like on this wall here. And I was like, okay, it's coming home with me. So this is West Yorkshire Spinners. Hold on. So this is West Yorkshire Spinners in Croft Tweed. It is 100% Shetland Island wool, and I got the colorway Eswick. So it is a tweed-based yarn, and I got one that is a blue and green with white speckle tweed kind of coloring. I immediately fell in love with this yarn. It's an Aran weight, 182 yards for 100 grams. Like I said, saw it from across the room, had to have it. I saw it and I thought of making a cardigan, and I was trying to find a pattern pretty quickly just to get an estimate of how much I would need. I ended up getting 10 skeins of this yarn, which is a little overestimated of what pattern I found, but since they came in these bags of 5, I thought 2 bags of 5 is perfect. And with the percentage off, I couldn't resist. I did not intend to buy a sweaters quantity while we were in Ireland, but I had room in my suitcase, so why not? So I bought 10 skeins of this along with some buttons and plan to make a cardigan from that in the near future. From her store as well, I also picked up this book. This is the book that I based my yardage off of. There was a cardigan pattern in here that I decided is probably going to be the one that I make. But the reason I ended up deciding to buy this book is it's printed exceptionally well. Like the pages are just beautiful, and the little ring here. Makes it so you can flip the pages back pretty easily. So the two patterns that I'm debating between for the cardigan, this is the one I initially planned to make. And this is the colorway that I bought as well. So this is the Elspeth cardigan, which is just a simple shorter length cardigan and with buttons, which sounds really nice for my wardrobe. But I also, that first pattern that I showed you, this one, a little bit of a longer cardigan and a V-neck. This is the Isla cardigan. This one also might be a contender for that yarn that I bought. But the reason I ended up buying this book is because of the 10 or so patterns in here, about 8 of them I want to make. They're all very beautiful and they're all using this Aran weight yarn, and I'm very excited to work through some of these patterns. This one is also one of my favorites from the book. It is a mock turtleneck with a faux ribbing down the body, and yeah, this pattern looks amazing. And so this book, it is available. You can do a digital download on Ravelry, or you can buy individual patterns, but it is called West Yorkshire Spinners, the Croft Shetland Tweed book. So there's 14 designs in here. And like I said, I think maybe 6 to 8 of them I want to make. And there's both men and women's patterns in here. So I think that was a great purchase of yarn this month, and I'm so excited to cast this on. Once I finish my other sweater, this is probably hopping on the needles pretty quickly. But also in Ireland, I had intentions of buying some Darnie for a pattern from the 52 Weeks of Shawls book. There's a pattern there that used the Darnie yarn, and I wanted that for a shawl. So when we went to This Is Knit, I knew that they would have it, and I bought 3 skeins of this Darnie from Studio Donegal. It is a fingering weight 4-ply yarn, and I got the colorway. Oh, it doesn't say on here. Shade number is 8811. So I got the light gray color essentially, but it also has these really nice contrast little specks of dark gray and like lighter blue. It kind of has like a gray tone overall with slight blue undertones with specks of the orange and dark gray and white. It's quite beautiful. It feels very fluffy to touch and hold. And so 3 skeins of this came home with me, and I think this color will be a great shawl that I can just use and be very versatile in the fall and winter months. I did end up with 1 more skein from This Is Knit, and this is their in-house yarn brand. It is called Townhouse yarns, and it is their Camden Tweed base. And so this is 100 grams of superwash merino, 85%, and 15% Donegal neps. I also saw this one from across the room. Walked to it, walked away from it, walked to it, walked away from it. Eventually decided I might as well get it because I keep walking to it. I got the colorway Bonfire. I only got 1 skein. I'm thinking I might make like a cowl or some single skein project to really just showcase the yarn and the neps that are in this. Maybe a hat. I'm not sure. What would you make? I'm just obsessed with the brown and then this strip of red going up and then this little purple down here. The purple. Amazing. So yeah, this had to come home with me because I just kept walking back to it. But overall, that is all the yarn that I got from Ireland. So, you know, 14 skeins of yarn plus 1 for my friend, 15 skeins of yarn in Ireland. Not that bad. 10 of it was a sweater. It's fine. It's fine. Shane kept judging me for buying a sweater, and he's like, you spent so much on a sweater. And I was like, it's fine. Just like divide that by the number of hours it takes me to knit it. And like, whatever. But with that, what came next was my Trilogy Discovery of Witches Club for the month of August. So most of you have probably already seen it, but if you haven't, look away. So this is on Trilogy Yarn's Glamorous base. That is a 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and this is the colorway Witchwater. So really lovely blue, just overall. We got dark blue, we got light blue, we got medium blue. It's just a gorgeous skein of blue yarn encompassing Witchwater excellently. I'm very excited to use up these skeins. I wanted to use all 3 months of the club together, but the blue's a little more vibrant, so I don't know if I'll necessarily be able to do a project with all of them together, but overall I'm loving these so much. Then what came in the mail was my Yarnable box, and I did a unboxing video for the August box, so make sure to check out the card either here or here, whichever one it pops up on, because there were lots of great goodies this month, and it was one of the best boxes I think I've gotten from Yarnable. It just all went together so beautifully. But this is the Yarnable color. It is the color Sweet and Sour on her plush sock base, which is an 85% superwash merino and 15% nylon. And it was just a gorgeous orange and peach and white skein, and everything in the box just coordinated beautifully. And this is a perfect skein of yarn, but make sure to check out that video for some more close-ups of this. I then also got a skein of yarn from my Knitcrate box, and I forgot that I didn't skip this month of yarn actually, so I was actually surprised when this one came. I am not sure which month of Knitcrate this is because they've had some delays with the shipping. It might be the August one, but it might not be. I am unsure. So this is their Vidalana Mirage sock. It is 50% superwash merino, 35% bamboo, 15% nylon. So I have not used a bamboo merino nylon blend before, but it feels really soft. It's a really nice like denim-y blue, so I'm excited to use this. I think it'll be great in a pair of textured socks, something that like variegated or speckled yarns might not lend to a little bit more, and it just feels overall like a really nice yarn. So I'm happy that this came in my Knitcrate box. And then the last yarns that I have is I placed an order for KnitPicks Felici newest colors that came out. I was very tempted at ordering all of the colors because I really could see myself knitting all of them, but I withheld and I only ordered some skeins of the colors of the Felici fingering weight. So I got 5 different colors, and I will run through them pretty quickly. I got 2 skeins of each in all, so I'm going to show you one of each just to keep my hands easy. So this is the Felici fingering weight. All of them are 75% superwash merino and then 25% nylon. And I got 2 skeins of each. They're each 50 grams, hence the 2 skeins. And they are 218 yards per 50 grams. So this one is the color Mermaid Tails. So self-striping of blue, light blue, and a light purple, and like a grayish blue. I also got the color Speed Racer. This one I think is so much fun. This one's probably coming with me during our travels. So it's like a darkish green gray and a orange and like a neon-y yellow. I then also got the color Under the Sea, which is a green, light tealy blue, a mustardy yellow, a darker green, and a darker blue. The color Desert Rose, which is a light pink, medium pink, muted mustardy orange, a darker purple, and then a lilac-y purple. And finally, the color Base Jump. So this is a color with like a cream, like a grayish cream, a teal, a lighter blue, and a orange pop in there. So lots of fun Felici colors that came in the mail, and these are just so great for really easy, fun striping, self-striping socks. Like the yarn just, I think, knits up really well, it holds up quite well, and they're just always fun. And I wanted some, so I got them. And those are all of the yarns that I brought in this month. So I got a good chunk in. I definitely brought in more yarn than what I used up, even with using a good 14 skeins. I bought 10 skeins of sweater yarn and I bought 10 skeins of Felici sock weight, but who's really counting? As always, every month I like to make a little infographic to put on Instagram. I like to share that with my favorites for the month. I talk about my favorite work in progress, my favorite finished object, and then another favorite as well. I always post that on my Instagram stories, and I would love for you guys to use that, screenshot it, tag your friends, and let me know what your favorites were for August. I'll do a quick rundown here of what my favorites are. So my favorites were definitely my Vertices Unite, which I finished for the month. I'm so excited about that. My favorite thing that I'm currently working on is going to be my Wild Joy test knit by Samantha Gurin. It is just bringing me so much joy. The color work in it is amazing, and it's just been a lot of fun. And then my favorite additional thing is gonna be this book. It's gonna be my favorite book. I'm so thrilled with this book. I'm so glad I bought it, and there'll probably be many projects from there. And since they're all Aran weight, I think most of the garments in there will just go super quickly. So yes, I would love to hear from you guys if you want to hop over to Instagram to use that, or let me know in the comments down below what is your favorites from August, or let me know which of these skeins you would love to have if you saw it as well. And since the sun is coming over here, I'm gonna go ahead and finish the video off here. Thank you guys for spending a little bit of time with me. The time is precious, and I'm still amazed how many of you stop by and watch these little videos. So make sure, again, you give it a like and a thumbs up if you did enjoy the videos, and subscribe when you want those future videos to be notified to you. Until I see you guys on the next one, I hope you're putting a little bit of love into every stitch you're knitting, and I will see you again very soon. Bye!